Before I figured out my gutter technique for handling the yarn, and that really does keep it all straightened out. This is what my yarn looked like after a very, very short period of time. So let me untangle this and set it up, and I'll show you what I do. Before Wadley brought this in for me, I was using separate bottles for hanging bottles for all of my different pieces of yarn, and it was not working because it required me to fuss too much. So this works so much better. This is just an old piece of plastic gutter. When I cross a yarn over, when I've been knitting this way and I get done with the yarn and I'm going to start a new yarn, I take the new yarn and I cross it, or the old yarn, and I cross it over the top of the new yarn, and then I take that ball of yarn and I put it at the other end of the gutter, and I just slide everything along to accommodate it. So I go one way and all the yarn goes to that direction, and I go the other way and all the yarn goes back the other way, and that works really well. It keeps everything completely untangled. Look at this. That's what it looks like. It's just that cool. Nothing is tangled, nothing is crossed, and it works really slick. So I'm going to do that on a tiny scale here with my measly little pieces of yarn, and we'll talk about it. When you do Intarsia in the round, how you wrap the yarn is going to make all the difference in the world. As with flat Intarsia, you must always take the yarn you've been working with and put it over the top of the new yarn you're going to work with. This is my swoop sweater. So here, when I got to this point where I'm changing color, I put the green yarn over the top of the maroon yarn, and then I knit it on. Let me see where I am here. This is the thing I want to show you. Let me back this up and I will show you what I did here. Okay, here we are. I've been knitting in this direction, and there's only one rule for Intarsia. The yarn you've been knitting with goes over the top of the next yarn to be knit. That's the only rule. So to simplify it for Intarsia in the round, you do exactly the same thing. This, I've knit to here. I have only one yarn. I can't continue on. There's no yarn here. So I take the yarn that's for this next section, and because I'm changing directions, I am going to be knitting this way now. I'm going to take what will be the old yarn, pretend that I have knit along here, and I'm going this way. So this would be the yarn I just knit with. It goes over the top of the new yarn. So the rule is exactly the same. The yarn you just finished with, which is going to be this yarn, goes over the top of the new yarn and you knit off. Now I want you to look at, do you see this? This looks exactly the same as this and that and that and this. It looks exactly the same because I did not change the rules. The yarn you're leaving goes over the top of the yarn you're entering, and that's how you manage it. It's just that simple. There's lots of other stuff, how I'm carrying the yarn and that kind of thing, but this is the basic Intarsia in the round, the rule. So you don't have to have two of the same yarn and do some sort of weird change the yarn in the middle thing. You just do this. You take the old yarn and the yarn from, you just came from, over the top of the yarn you're going to. It doesn't matter the direction. It doesn't matter whether you're going purl or knit. That's the rule. The yarn you're leaving goes over the top of the yarn you're coming to, and you knit on. Now when I knit around all the way around my sweater and I come to here, I will take my ball of maroon and I will drop it over the top of, I will drop it because now I have a loop of yarn here. You see that loop of yarn? I'll take this and I will drop it over the top of this, and I will knit until I get to right here. By then, this yarn will be here because I will have knit all of this. So I've gone all the way around. I've knit the blue. When I get to this point, I pull my blue out so I don't have a loop here. And I take my maroon and I put my maroon over the top of the blue because now I'm going this way. So that makes this the yarn I've just done, and the blue the yarn I'm going to start. And then I go this way. It's just really that simple. It makes it super, super simple. If you guys need to know what I'm doing for carrying the yarn, because I'm going 3 stitches. Can you see I'm doing 3? I'm going across 3, but I don't have any loop in the back, and it lays nice and flat. It's not puckering or pulling, and it's where I'm changing, where I'm carrying the yarn is the same. It stretches the same as the rest of the body. Let me know and I'll show you what I'm doing. I got the tip from somebody else in the knitting community. So here we are. I am at the end of the light blue, and with my swoop sweater you can see I don't have anything here. There's no yarn here. So I'm going to be changing directions. Before I can change directions, I have to have a yarn crossed over this piece. So I pick my blue up, I put it over the top of my light blue, take my navy and put it over the top of my light blue, and I'm going to knit off this direction. I'm going to knit all the way around, and I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, here I am. I'm at the end of the light blue. I'm going to start the maroon. This yarn goes over the top of the maroon. So the maroon goes to the outside of the section of yarn, and I'm going to knit this way, and I will come back to you when I get to the orange. Here I am. I've just finished the maroon. My maroon goes over the top of my orange, and I pick my orange ball out and I set it at the end. Now I'm going to work the orange stripe. Alright, I'm at the end of the orange. Now remember, my blue is my change direction color. You see how I have a loop? Remember, we trapped it with the light blue here. I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to put it from the top to the bottom through the navy loop. Now I'm going to work the navy. The navy should be at the end. So I'm going to pull, trying to keep everything organized here, pull this, and my navy is at the end. So let me work the navy and I'll show you what we do, because we're going to change directions again at the end of the navy. Here I am at the end of the navy, and this is the loop I've been working off. So pull the loop through, and now I don't have a yarn to go over the top of the blue. The yarn that needs to go over the top of the blue is this light blue. So it goes over the top, and I'm changing directions. Now I'm going back that way, and it's just a matter of repeating. If you make your changes the right direction, they look like this. If you make your changes the wrong direction, they look like this. If you forget to wrap a yarn over the top of another yarn, you're going to get a hole like this that you're either going to have to frog back to fix, or you're going to have to darn it closed. Here is the warning about this. Not only does this look terrible on the back side, but you can look at what you've got on the front side. It looks terrible on the front side as well. So if you want this beautiful, looks good, it's just a change in color and nothing else, then you need to have the working yarn, the new yarn, underneath the yarn you just finished. And that's pretty much all there is to it. It looks really good. And all your inside seams are going to look like this. Really pretty.